Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Anything Joe's, a collaborative journey through the world of G.I. Joe. My name is Greg Engel.
And I'm Jaren Decker.
And we'll be your host today. Today on Anything Joe's, we're back on the Pyramid of Darkness, Episode 2. I guess it goes without saying that even though we had an introduction at the start of the first episode, that I wish to apologize. When Jaren and I were doing research on watching these, I was like, let's start at the beginning and go from there. And I had immediately forgotten that the regular series, which launches with Pyramid of Darkness, had 2 5-part miniseries before it, which is why there was some initial confusion about characters that were showing up and how many people were in it, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, my bad. But essentially, it's not a huge deal because most of these stories, you could watch them in any order that you wanted to, really, and it doesn't truly affect it. I was right about one thing. I did note that Quick Kick was shown in the base before they met him, and that is accurate. They meet him later on in this series, so that was one thing I said that didn't happen. But for the most part, in the 10 episodes that came prior to this, it introduced a lot of the baseline characters. So just for your reference, Jaren, a lot of the characters that were being introduced to for the first time in this series is like Tomax Samat. I don't think Alpine and Bazooka and all those guys were featured very prominently. It was like this stuff happened like kind of in between those years. So they are gotcha. Introducing a lot of new characters, but we had seen some of these guys prior. So
makes sense.
Yeah, let's get right into it. We'll go ahead and watch episode 2. Jaren, before we start, I would there's one essential part of the G.I. Joe cartoon experience that you haven't gotten that we got as a kid, and it is, how did they get out of this situation? All the 5-parters end on a bit of a cliffhanger, and as a kid you were constantly like, how are they going to get out of this? They've got buzzsaws and the walls are closing in on them and they're going to get smushed. So I would love to ask you, how do you think Shipwreck and Snake Eyes will get out of this ridiculous trap that they found themselves in?
All right, so there's like things coming up from the floor and blades coming down the hall, right? Did they pull that? Wasn't there like a robot there at the doorway?
There is a robot there at the doorway.
Maybe they like pull him in there and like A New Hope it and like kind of jab him in there and try to.
You're thinking very practically, and the G.I. Joe cartoon doesn't exist in a practical world. They do whatever they want whenever they want. So let's fire it up. There's a short recap in case you didn't watch the last episode or it's been a while. This will give you a little bit of a recap. If I'm remembering correctly, the intro to this is different on the other 5-parters, but this is the intro that, until the second season, basically is. I think this is the most well-known intro of them all. They used to say G.I. Joe against Cobra and Destro. They didn't say the terrorist enemy in the first part. I don't know why, but that is one of the small changes that made it.
Special Mission Force. Its purpose, to defend human freedom against Cobra, a ruthless terrorist organization determined to rule the world. He never gives up, he'll stay till the fight's won. G.I. Joe will dare. G.I. Joe.
It's weird that they all come running out of that. Like, were they on board and it crashed and they were like, we're good, but everybody else did die, so.
They exist in the Fast and the Furious universe.
That makes
Explosions
sense.
don't
They're
matter.
like, we jumped the Sky Striker over the moon into it.
But this is only the first step in Cobra's master plan to build a pyramid of darkness beneath which no source of electrical energy will
Except
function.
beneath that pyramid.
So the southern hemisphere.
At the entrance to the Control Cube factory, as we begin the next exciting episode of G.I. Joe, the Pyramid of Darkness.
You gotta assume they don't have a lot of intruders because it cuts the floor up completely.
They're so much smaller in this view.
Right at the heels of their feet. Stop.
Is that just what they do? Like, if you have a cold, do you just die? Like,
so
just
it's
keep
funny.
trying. Just keep trying.
Actually, sorry, before we get into this, on this particular still frame, I do like how the Cobra logos look like they're happy. Thanks for joining Cobra. It's funny because every time I watch this fairly recently to prepare for this episode, and for a split second I thought Shipwreck was actually saying the wrong thing, and Polly corrects him, which would make sense, right? Like, what if he said the super snake rule? You know, like he was missing a word, but instead it's implied that it's just like the emphasis, I guess he's putting on the words that Polly is able to do correctly. Polly, which doesn't sound even close to a human being on any aspect of it, somehow. How come Snake Eyes put a hat on and Shipwreck didn't? Is this
I
supposed to
was
disguise
wondering
him
the
better?
same thing. Like, if you're still wearing the mask, the
he has two little nose holes also on his. Like, his mask is just really, really out there.
He's just sweating profusely. Do you think Cobra has like a vocal coach? Like, that's your first week? Like, everyone learns how to say...
That's right. How to say the password.
Yeah, don't mess it up. You get one shot.
So underneath the Century City, I think is what it's called. That's where they're like building all of this stuff. It's like I don't know if it's supposed to be a front for Cobra or they just have like they're secretly doing all this stuff.
You're supposed to be earning your pay, Snakeling. Now get to work.
Work? Oh, aye, sir. Right, sir. Work.
Work with your dog and bird.
When are birds and dogs part of Cobra?
See, they called him out.
Look, you want the parrot and pooch for target practice. They're all yours. Just don't tell Destro who told you to take them.
Destro owns those animals?
Well, Hitler had a canary. Attila hung like goldfish.
Stop.
What can I tell you?
So just to be clear,
Cartoon throwing out Hitler.
right? Just to, yeah. Sorry. Welcome to our fictional world where everything is a cartoon and we dance with light and animals do their own world. And also, just a reminder, World War II definitely happened in this world. There are some real world repercussions. And I know this won't be in the video. I'll have to take a screenshot of it. But if you back up, YouTube has got an auto subtitle system where they try to take the audio and turn it into a subtitle. And in this particular clip, they have determined that what Shipwreck is saying is Heil Hitler. That is so funny to me. I mean, all right, Shipwreck. You convinced them you're a bad
It's
guy.
word association, I guess. Like,
I guess so. It's funny that they took that leap on their own. Timbers looking at him like, what'd you say?
Get back to work, but take care of these little pets.
Lovely Polly, sweet birdie.
And if he isn't nice to them, you let me know. Now start hauling titanium. Cobra Commander needs the rest of them cubes.
Thanks for letting us establish temporary headquarters.
Ah, the beautiful USS flag.
Temporary is a word to remember.
look at all those green shirts.
Run a tight ship.
I know, right?
Doesn't leave much room for visitors, even when they're friendly, but especially when they're female.
Women aren't bad luck at sea, Admiral.
That's why you didn't get a figure, Admiral Ledger, you sexist piece of crap.
But I am, ma'am. I've been at sea so long, whales ask me for directions. There's
God,
someone
that's
coming in on
zooming.
Enhance.
I mean, look at that. They're going from Japan to the U.S. in like 3 seconds.
It's a very high tech.
Flight coordinates shows him touching down at a cute volcanic vacation spot known as the Devil's
Ah, my favorite acute vacation spot.
for a lady.
It's very acute.
I will need someone to maintain surveillance pilots aboard the carrier.
And I'm sure you'll pick the right man for the job.
Green shirts are like, woman power!
Lady Admiral Ledger, she's my teammate.
We're off to watch Barbie!
I am Knuff. Oh yeah, I forgot about these.
Yeah, the old fatal fluffies. Cracking that whip. Talking about a lot of green shirts.
Bunch of Krampuses too.
Why ain't Zartan blasting more Joe positions on Earth instead of working us like slaves in zero gravity?
Keep working!
All right, there's no shot. There's no shot that a four-wheeler can propel itself in zero gravity. There's no shot.
No, listen, Jaren, I know what you're thinking, but here's the thing. They're driving on air. Maybe he's got a nitrous thing back there, and it was just like propelling him.
I like that he's like hanging on to it like it's a scuba thing, you know, like when they go under with those. Is this a recurring thing? Does he sing? Is that just a character trait?
No, it's not. And as perplexing as the fact that it had a musical accompaniment behind it. There was like a violin or a banjo or something playing. Like, where was that coming from?
One of the green shirts just like knew. Like he's like, oh, it's time? Okay.
Right. Codename violin. Play. If I was a Fatal Fluffy, I'd whip him too, man. I like how Junkyard is just like scooting along somehow.
He looks like he's limping so badly.
It's those scuzzy fuzzies.
But they're like, well, bye.
I didn't say it'd be easy much. Wait a minute. I got an idea.
What is it?
Shh. Look. The gravity lever.
Yeah, so?
So that's a crazy, stupid thing to be inside a satellite.
In on us, and I mean falls.
Yeah, of course. Let me warn the others.
You go to Burger King, buy me fries. Got it. Fries, doubles, Whoppers, lunch break.
Give me 2
I like that all the Joes understand what down means. No one else questions it.
I agree, work sucks. Wow, Dusty, if you could do that, maybe just fight them.
Yeah, maybe just throw them earlier.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, G. God, some tremendous structural damage there, Dusty. To where? You guys are in a satellite. He's not gonna like swim home through outer space.
I hope much timing is perfect. He's gonna crack us! Go, Joe!
So the plan here is they switch off the gravity. Dusty jumps, and then I guess the gravity will come on before he becomes a pancake. He said give me 2 minutes. So does that mean he's been falling?
I'm not a mathematician, but I feel like wouldn't like your trajectory and like force wouldn't that all just continue?
So this is exactly what I was talking about in the last episode. G.I. Joe has damaged my understanding of science as a whole. I'm like, okay, so he got down there, they turned gravity off again, so he's floating. Why does he wouldn't float like all the way back up? I mean, like I don't know. So I'm like, I don't know how. The only unrealistic part of it that I know for sure is that they had synchronized their watches precisely to make sure Dusty didn't turn into a pancake at the bottom there. He was like saluting in air. That's pretty funny. Oh, they broke it again.
The pyramid of darkness is nearing completion.
You don't have any Joes in the room with you, do you? That you're just letting them hear the whole plan?
Seize the prisoner.
You miserable slave driver! Can't stop, stand aside!
Man, if only gravity kicked back in right now, so they
Wow.
would stop falling.
The weird thing is, he put on his brakes and all three of them threw off the ATV.
Your wretched selves out of here at once.
Duke, are you okay? Dusty, get a message back to...
To who? Scarlet? Love that Cobra chopper. That's hauling that thing in.
Yeah.
alignment has been verified. Commence
Surveying the land. That's important.
down on
And that is. It's got the cube has to be in the exact right spot for some reason.
You'd hate the pyramid to not be a true pyramid.
Here's
See some
another
kind of trapezoid.
Super 7 Ultimate reference. It comes with the sander, and he has a head that has the lava on it.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
That's a good reference.
nothing must interfere with cube placement. Cobra!
If it's off by 1 centimeter, the whole plan's ruined.
I'd love to see what the inside of the cube looks like. Is it all just loaded down with computer stuff? Can a person get inside? You don't ever really see any workings of it.
Is it just a cube?
Now there's $5 billion down the drain.
Are they just laying in lava?
That would be precisely the point that I was prepared to make. Is that there is an awful lot of them in the red soup that clearly can't be lava, right? There's no such thing as lukewarm lava. So are we to believe that it's a... I don't know. What would turn water red? Like, is it some
Maybe
kind
there's
of...
like a clay and like a clay that it's around or something. I don't know. No.
I don't know. I do know that Flint's face looks real dumb here.
I mean, so does Lady Jade's. To be fair.
yeah. Frame by frame, this
They
show
were
will break
not
apart at the
intended-
seams.
They were
Yeah.
not intended to be paused.
If you watch it frame by frame, it's like you're coming down from an acid trip and everything's just a little wiggly.
Pink is your color.
Don't laugh, you bum.
That's the color of my flesh being burnt off.
Using humor to subsidize the pain.
Right.
Lines churning out cubes faster, and we can figure out what to do.
Attention, attention. A message from our glorious leader.
They should only need like 4 or 5 cubes total.
Ours with a fire hose.
Yeah, you tell him, Polly.
Rapid production of the control cubes. The fourth and final cube must be finished at once. So
Okay, so 4 cubes.
4. They're producing them too fast.
Right, they're pumping them out like
3
crazy.
are already gone, and
That's,
one is there.
that's exactly right. They're all oriented this way except for this one, but they're pumping them out like crazy. Well, we got spares.
The story on those cubes that get traveling. Hold it. The chief engineer's office. We've hit pay.
Well, gave it away.
This'll take a little.
I've never seen a door labeled so clearly.
So largely. Chief Engineer's got a huge ego. Chief Engineer Viper's so full of himself.
Bingo. That laser disc program.
Bingo, dancing cube screensaver.
Everything headquarters needs to know about.
Wow, look at that laser disc.
on this.
Okay, turn around, nice and slow.
Get him, boys.
It'd be a shame if someone shot that little parrot.
I know, right? I mean, I'm willing. This is maybe the most believable part. The Cobra Troopers are too inept to even shoot a bird.
And speaking of going, we
Oh, my hat. See ya. Now I'm just regular old Snake Eyes. They come outside. Everybody's like, "Oh my God, Snake Eyes is here! I can't believe it." Where'd the guy with the hat go?
It's like the Phineas and Ferb show, that little platypus or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
That's so many green
No.
shirts.
Yeah.
The fact you used to repair refrigerators doesn't make you an electronics expert.
I'm not saying I'm an expert, but I know enough to put this circuit jumper across those communications cables.
And then anything Zartan picks up on his monitor will be broadcast out on Joe frequency?
That's the idea. But first, we need a diversion.
Okay.
Exposition.
Wow, just break that electrical cord. These guys have no fear of plunging this satellite into doom.
But that felt good. Wasn't us.
They're as dumb as they are ugly.
I have to take a second and tell you how much it irritates me that the voice of the Fatal Fluffies goes up an octave when they're angry, I guess. It's the least intimidating thing. Like if they were getting, I feel like if they started to get defeated, it would add to their defeat because they would be like, these guys are weenies. Like, listen to their voice. It would be more believable if when they were the little guys that they sounded like that. Did we talk about whether the Fatal Fluffies are like aliens or genetic mutations? There's some ambiguous stuff going on here.
I think other than the fact that we said they're gremlins, I don't know.
Yeah, right. So, hi, my name's Dusty. I've repaired refrigerators in the past. I'm not sure if I'll be able to put this splice stripper on, but oh wait, it's just 2 cords, guys. I think I've got it figured out. Just cut this one while it's running, clearly.
With a metal saw, I'm just gonna go through this electrical current.
I'm not a refrigerator repairman, and I'm smart enough to know that that's a pretty crazy thing to do, is to saw a cord on while it's clearly in use.
I learned that sticking metal on electric is not the way to go.
Yeah, right? It's like, how many refrigerators have you actually successfully repaired, Dusty? Or is it why you joined the military?
He won't even remember his name after that jolt.
Which is because they don't have names, as far as I can tell.
He's welding the line. Nice.
Yeah, where did he get that? I guess it could have been one of his tools. Meanwhile, somewhere else on the same satellite.
That is giant, because you can fall for 2 minutes and not reach the ground.
Even though the name of this episode is Rendezvous at the City of the City of the Dead, which we just saw there, basically isn't in this episode at all. I'm not real sure why they laid it out like that. We saw the last cube also is in the snow element somewhere.
Cobra's got the Delta Station. They're planting cubes throughout creation. If we don't start retaliation, we're sunk, and that's no bunk.
Roadblock rhymes. That must be true.
Roadblock said retaliation, didn't he?
That would be the great name for a movie sequel.
Well, that's just what we're gonna do. Retaliate.
I like these little blue shirt guys. The little sailor boys.
Pause it real quick, because I just did some Google math. It's
okay.
According to Google Math, a falling body to fall for 2 minutes would be 19.6 miles. So it's a pretty big satellite.
Wow.
So big
Just a small. Well, okay. So I guess I'm going to play devil's advocate. But if I was writing a G.I. Joe episode in the '80s, and pre-internet, I couldn't be like, hey, Chat GPT, if I turn gravity off for 2 minutes, blah 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 blah. I guess you just got to wing it, right? So I give them a little bit of credit to be like, there's no fact checking to be done other than how did you fact check stuff back then, young Greg? Well, I didn't. I probably opened up an encyclopedia and wrote it down verbatim and then turned in my paper using that because there was no internet. They couldn't prove it.
us to head this cube-chasing detachment. You and I are a uniquely capable combination, don't you think?
Like mix no, never mind to me, Airtight. I'll just mellow out until we hit the city of the dead.
I'm gonna use this time to double-check my computations on fuel consumption. 9.2.
What is his specialty supposed to be?
Airtight?
Yeah.
Airtight is like a chemical warfare specialist.
Okay, so maybe knowing about fuel and stuff. Okay.
It's feasible.
Yeah.
It's more feasible.
Out of the realm of possibility.
It's more feasible. That's more feasible than the idea that they would let a stoner like Footloose join their team. Such a laid-back infantryman.
Fly this ship, and you, on your toes or I'll mash your nose. You two dingbats never headed a mission before? Well, that's why Admiral Ledger put me in charge. So shape up now.
He also wouldn't allow any women to be in charge, so that helped.
Yes, sir. Right away, sir.
Dang, how many of those do they have? How many Sky Strikers?
As many as you need.
Pouring.
Jagged ice peak called the Mountain of Glass. And we're gonna climb it, Bazook, hand over hand, dangling in space thousands of feet in the air. Ain't that exciting?
No, sickening.
Why you said that?
Falling.
Oh, well, don't worry, we won't do that part.
I want Alpine's outfit.
Alpine and Bazooka have got to be one of the great buddy cop duos from specifically from the cartoon. They weren't really like this in the comic book so much, and it's like this through basically the whole series. And I think it's great. They're just such a funny team together, and they play off each other very well. I mean, Airtight and Footloose, I think in this particular scenario is a good combo, but Alpine and Bazooka is just like a famous pairing. So we got a little Indiana Jones kart racing going on here. Clearly, I mean, you had to be influenced by it.
Keep it up, Polly, and I'll turn you into a hood ornament.
Look like they're dancing.
Timber, snake eyes pump while I
Good luck, guys. So Shipwreck's got to try to get the motor going. So the most normal thing, of course, is that Timber will take over for him and help pull the trolley. It really does. I mean, just give that guy a suit. Give that wolf a suit. He is a full-fledged member, as far as I'm concerned.
It won't catch. Come on, you rust-covered Barney.
Doesn't look that rusty.
It doesn't. The Timber, once again, to the day is like, you want me to just kill Cobra Commander also? I do a lot of work for a Scooby snack, bro.
Man, if they hadn't been dancing for so long, they would have already caught him.
These guys are wearing jetpacks in addition to having some kind of turbo-powered lift. It's almost like the Joe should have stolen one of those things and not the hand cart. 10,000 gold fang shillings.
They gotta be the equivalent of pennies, right?
They reference this somewhere else also, either in the previous episode or early in this episode, but it seems to be implied that Cobra as a whole, or at the very least at the lower levels, are paid on a currency that is unique to Cobra. They don't get paid in dollars, they get, or, whatever. They have their own currency, which is funny to me because I'm thinking, well, how do you guys make money? They'd be spending their own currency in Century City. I'm thinking I'm getting that name of that city wrong now. Maybe it's called Enterprise City because of Extensive Enterprises. Anyway, it's like I don't know. It's funny to me that they have their own type of currency to use, I guess, just in the city itself. I can't imagine there's that many Cobra places that openly accept Cobra bucks or whatever.
Maybe there's a good exchange rate. I mean, you never know.
Maybe. You remember that coin that Patrick got us?
Yeah.
I wonder if it's in any way a reference to that.
It is. This year's was gold.
It is gold. It doesn't specifically say, that terminology. It's just like flat. Sorry, I got to switch so I can see my screen. It's just a flat Cobra Commander coin, roller world. I have to imagine that that's kind of what the money would look like. Is just some kind of like coin that obviously would have Cobra Commander's face on it. But
that's what all those pouches are for. They've got all the coins.
That's all the coins, right? Throw the coins at them. Throw the coins.
They all look like Sonic when they get beat.
For guys that can't shoot for nothing, using a jetpack and a mine shaft is you gotta have some pretty dedicated skills. That dude's gonna get run over. That dude was gonna get sawed in half. Wow, Timber, that's like 3? Yeah, that's like 3 or 4 for you in a row, buddy.
Sheesh.
If you can increase thrust, why don't you just turn it all the way up, ram these fools off the road?
Yeah.
Switch ahead. Time to part company, Snake Eyes.
Did he listen for it?
I don't know, but I like that part quite a bit, actually. It shows off Snake Eyes' finesse a little bit. It was a good shot, like an overhead shot. Yeah. I think that's pretty well done.
That part was cool. The weird little hearing it thing, not as much.
Wow, those guys stopped on a dime.
Did their guns switch? They have like the traditional Joe rifle now, where they had Cobra weapons.
Yeah. I guess that's the only way they have to shoot different color lasers, so you can tell who's who.
Let's get out of here. I've been underground so long, I feel like a toadstool.
What a motley crew. So, Shipwreck and Snake Eyes are out of the tunnel. They've come up on, Skid Row, basically. Some real sleaze bags here in Enterprise City.
I have them. They're moving into the civilians.
Or at least I think so. It is pitch black and I'm wearing sunglasses.
Not a bad idea.
1, 2, 3. Yo, Joe!
She's got a cannon.
I really like that animation as well. I think I mentioned it when I saw it they use it in the opening or the credits or something. That roll of fire he does. Some of the animation in this, I like to make fun of it because there is lots of funny stuff in it. But some of this animation, I don't know. It's like they put more effort into some parts of it than others. Just like they're standing on that cliff and it's animated, and so it's not like a matte painting or whatever you call the backgrounds that they paint. So you can tell that something's going to happen to it in advance because you can see that it's animated separately from the cliff.
I love watching cartoons with that. It makes it so nice.
It's just red water.
No. I think it's ketchup. Did you hear the squirt sound?
Oh, yeah.
In our next episode, Snake Eyes and Shipwreck encounter an unexpected ally in the slums of Enterprise City, and Alpine shatters the mountain of glass.
Major Blood.
While Roadblock, Airtight, and Footloose battle their way through the ancient city of the dead, past giant clay warriors, in a desperate attempt to prevent the Crimson Twins from planting another one of the mysterious control cubes.
It looks like they're going to be pretty successful based on that preview. One of the things I really... Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I feel like there's so many figures that were left on the table from the cartoon. So many.
It's funny. There was always so much stuff that was left out of the vintage line. I talked a lot about them not making a Billy or a Quinn or a Dr. Venom when I was a kid. But yeah, you're right. They glossed over a ton of stuff in the cartoon. There's stuff that, that is only just now being realized in any format because of Super 7. They made that robot. They made the Temple of the Dead. There's, There's a bunch of that figures, regardless of how you feel about Super 7's like articulation system or the design, it's still stuff that we've never seen before, which I think is actually quite a shame that there's so many little, treasures left on the floor, the playing room floor, that they could have developed instead of making, yet another Snake Eyes, Storm Shadow, Destro. But I guess it's tough, right? They were afraid that there would not be enough interest in such a specific character that's only used at, once, basically, that it wouldn't have enough appeal. So tough decision, but still stuff that to this day I'm like, give it to me, I would buy it now in a heartbeat, regardless of what it is. One of the things I really like about these miniseries, especially, is that they jump around a lot. There's a lot of moving parts. When Larry Hama writes the G.I. Joe comic, he once said, as the storyline is wrapping up, I like to already be invested in another story. So that way you're kind of always following somebody's exploits, no matter what point in the journey that you're at. And I think the cartoon, this is a perfect example of kind of a similar theme. I had mentioned before that when I played with G.I. Joes, these were a big influence on me because they are hitting a bunch of different environments, and they'd have all these separate teams trying to do their own thing. And I thought that was a really fun and interesting way to play, where you had to build specific G.I. Joe teams for every scenario, where they're going, who they're going to fight, and stuff like that. And it made you think outside the box a little bit and utilize the team more like a team instead of just being like these 7 Joes that you all know and love are fighting Cobra. Everybody's got a part to play. This more so because you have stuff like Snake Eyes and Shipwreck, doing undercover work. They've figured out what the cubes are for. You got the guys on the satellite that are also an instrumental part of because they, that's where kind of everything links up. And then you've got people at the cubes itself. I think it's great. I mean, I think Pyramid of Darkness is extremely good. It's one of my favorites. Although there are no 5-parters that I feel like are poor at any level. They are to me the best, examples of the G.I. Joe cartoon period. So, Jaren, 2 episodes in now. What are your thoughts? How are your thoughts developing on the G.I. Joe cartoon?
I'm loving it. I mean, I knew coming into it I was going to love it. I love cartoons. There's hardly a cartoon I won't watch. I mean, now that I have kids, like, they turn stuff on and I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like, because I enjoy it even when we make fun about when we pause it and it's got bad art, but it's what it is. But I do enjoy the art. I mean, because I can't draw a stick figure, so I really appreciate seeing all the talented people that are doing it. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Like, seeing how they do this, and our same thing. I mean, I didn't have as like Joe's, but I remember taking my toys out and I would have these guys are doing this thing and these guys are doing this thing, and like this cartoon seems to be the perfect way to like inspire you to do that with your Joes. Oh, well, hey, here's your more Arctic people. We're going to put them in this mission. We want to use them for their, whatever they're doing. And here's Snake Eyes, and here's Shipwreck being an infiltrator, but, and it also, I mean, from a sales aspect, it's brilliant because you're getting the maximum amount of exposure for all these characters,
Mm-hmm.
When you watch this, you see Alpine doing something funny and you're like, I want that toy.
Yeah, they're probably showcasing, at least through the length of this series, every single figure that came out that specific year. So the figures that would be on the shelf at that time, I'd say they're probably showing almost everybody. I mean, certainly a wide margin of them. Yeah, it's funny with these kind of cartoons because I sometimes wonder, it's impossible for me to look at this cartoon with any other vision other than childlike eyes. I've watched them dozens of times. They were very definitive when I was young. But when I try to watch other cartoons from this era, if it's something I haven't seen before, it really doesn't stick with me. And I usually am just kind of like, it's these little things that I think are charming in G.I. Joe. They kind of irk me in other stuff. I've tried to watch the Transformers cartoon many, many times, and I do not make it in. I can't even scratch the surface of it. I just completely lose interest. So I often wonder if this cartoon is like kind of a relic of a lost time, as it's probably not being discovered by new, younger audiences. I tried to get my daughter invested in several cartoons from this era, and it just doesn't click at all. So I wonder, is this cartoon permanently dated that it just will not attract new viewers ever, basically.
I might have to test your hypothesis. I'm gonna see if my son enjoys it, because he's gotten to the point now where he'll come in my room and he'll see the figures and he's like, I want a good guy and I want a bad guy, and he likes to take them and he fights them. So, he's 3, so it might not be the target demographic for this, but he might actually enjoy it. So, I might have to test that out.
I want to say I was probably 5 or 6 when the line started, so I was kind of I would say the perfect demographic at that time. But yeah, to definitely test that out, I would love to know. Just in general, if you're a watcher or a listener, you have a young child that got into G.I. Joe, I'd like to hear about it. I'd like to hear their impressions on it, how it stacks up to other cartoons that they watched at that time and other cartoons from this era that they are interested in also, because I think that's interesting to me. All right, thanks so much for watching. We'll be back in 2 short weeks. We're going to take an intermission from this cartoon, but I promise we're coming back to it. We've got to take a minute and catch up on some news. I had a big modern figure acquisition this week that I'm excited to talk about with you guys. And we'll just do some house cleaning. We've got a little bit of catching up to do, and we'll kind of get all that tied up in a bow, and then we'll get right back into this. We will finish this 5-parter. Well, I swear we will finish it.
I have to know the answers.
What's that?
I have to know the answers. I have to figure out how to get out of the ketchup.
How do they get out of the lava? You can find us on social media at Anything Joe's Pod. That's both on Twitter and Instagram. Jaren runs the Instagram and I run the Twitter. We also have a Facebook page at Anything Joe's, and you can, of course, find our YouTube channel at Anything Joe's also. You can email us also at anythingjoespodcast@gmail.com or anythingjoespod@gmail.com, and we would love to hear from you. And that's pretty much it. We'll be back in 2 short weeks with news and acquisitions, and we look forward to talking to you then, where anything's available for discussion here on Anything Joe's.